let's get into the MLS USL drama here. So, Indy 11, a USL team based out of Indianapolis, were supposed to have a $1.5 billion project with the city of Indianapolis, and particularly with the mayor, Joe Hogsett. So he's publicly backed Indy 11. He's been in the stadium. He's taking pictures with fans. He's publicly backed this huge project. Apparently, Indy 11, the ownership group of Indy 11 Keystone, has accused the city for backing out of said project, where then Joe Hogsett then announced that the city, with a different ownership group, was going to make a formal MLS bid next season. So, or it's by the end of this year, for the next few seasons. Betrayal of the highest sorts, especially when, the MLS USL relationship is quite sour. This only just makes it that much better, I would say, right? I'm getting very, very, very San Diego loyal, San Diego FC vibes here. Hogsett said the undisclosed ownership group will make a formal bid by the end of this year. The city is putting forward the Diamond Chain site, where the Indy 11 project was actually supposed to be, and of course now it can't be because the city has backed away from it. So not only are they robbing them of an MLS spot, they're robbing them of their fucking location in the future that they're planning on. He's quoted to have said, "Today we enter our pursuit of the world's game," as if there wasn't already a team in pursuit of trying to get to the top level of world football. Do you guys have any thoughts on Indianapolis turning its back on? Oh wait, before I say this, April 25th, the day we're recording, is Indy 11's, I think, 11th anniversary or something like that. It's like their anniversary today, which is like of the formation of the club, which is fucking terrible. It's actually disgusting. Your guys' thoughts on Indianapolis hijacking their own project, I guess?
Hey, this is why you don't trust politicians. You just don't trust them. Don't vote. Anyways, political beliefs aside, definitely there's more money in it for maybe certain parties. That's why he transitioned over to one side, which is unfortunate, especially with Indy 11 being around for a while. It's sad. Also, just the fact that the San Diego Loyal just also had to disband because of something similar to that. And not being able to find a stadium / funding to be able to do things. So
to continue,
I mean, hopefully, I doubt it's going to happen in Indy 11 having to disband, but I think it makes that division even larger, especially with the whole U.S. Open Cup. With certain MLS teams not participating.
Yeah,
I think the gap, instead of it being like a unified, like in terms of like leagues, it's like the gap's like grown a lot, and I feel like it's not fair for USL championship teams specifically, just because the MLS doesn't really affect them too much. They're kind of like the bullies on the playground right now, and they're just pushing everybody around because they can.
Yeah.
And once you slap an MLS sticker on something, then they're not really touchable. So
it's true.
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, for them specifically, to me, it's.
And for all the MLS sympathizers out there, yes, you can be like, oh, but this is just the mayor's fault. This is the mayor's and the ownership group. I believe earlier this week or last week, the mayor of Indianapolis met with Don Garber, everybody's favorite professional commissioner, the commissioner of the Major League Soccer, met with him, and then all of a sudden, a few days later, he's like, yeah, we're going to switch up from this. We're going to do something else. There is no way that Don Garber didn't tell him, like, hey, we have this other ownership group that's interested. We want to put them in Indianapolis. Why don't you back away from that? We'll give you a little bit more money. That's what I think went down. Disgustingly. Diego, your opinion on Indy 11 being fucked?
I think it sucks. Just like they're being a team and they were close to even getting their own stadium. Because they'll make a team, they'll have to create new branding, new stuff, get new players. It's just more like money they can be made there instead of this club that can just be kind of slowly integrated into the MLS. And then they were like, no, we're not going to do that. I think it sucks because obviously, like, I think imagine it's like a fan of Indy 11 as well. Not even just a fan of the sport, just a fan of the Indy 11. Like, you're like, oh shoot, we actually get to like play in the biggest American league.
To build on Diego's point, also I think the stadium would have been a massive precedent for the USL in general, just because it's up, you're upping the levels here instead of just kind of like we're renting out stadiums here and there, or like smaller stadiums. I think it would have pushed other teams to build their stadiums up in their fan base, but also maybe get more funding in the league, and being able to up the levels. So maybe that potential, not merger, but that pyramid we've talked about before, whatever,
right.
Or maybe like it like growing even more just would help battle the MLS maybe, or just like help bring the gap closer, but this just separates it so drastically that it's going to be hard to keep
to
up.
recover from.
Unfortunately, yeah.
I think like this is 100% a move for me. At least subconsciously, maybe for the MLS, like to stop the USL from growing, because they really do not want competition, and the MLS has the upper hand financially to have their own way. I mean, let's look at the US Open Cup where they chose not to send some teams because they realized they didn't have to. They'd rather keep them for under properties where they could make the most money off of.
Leagues Cup.
Exactly, Leagues Cup. This is the same exact thing where they don't care about the rest of American soccer. They just want to make more money and make sure that they're the kings of the land. So some problem at USA Figure was asked, like, does the MLS coincide? Does their growth coincide with the growth of American soccer? And it does, unfortunately, though. Like, for me, that's so sad. That sucks. Because it's true, yes, but the USL needs to be part of that conversation, too. They're a pretty big team. Fucking Didier Drogba played in the USL. You know, they're a really big thing. And for the MLS to just, like, you know, throw their fucking weight around and just make it so that they don't have any competition is just disgusting. It's a monopoly. It's a monopoly. That's all they're doing. They monopolize all of American soccer and make everything MLS centered. Which, like, I get it.
They got Messi
like,
on their side, baby.
They got Messi on their side, and you know what? Like, obviously, the top division, they're the most popular division by far. But at the same time, they are trying to coincide with American soccer as a whole. And you can't be like, you know, the Premier League, English soccer, you think of Premier League, but the Premier League would not be the Premier League without the bottom three divisions, and below that, it would not be the same without the pyramid. Right? Same thing. The MLS is trying to make it so that when you think of American soccer, you think of MLS and nothing else. It's just MLS. Yeah. And that's honestly depressing, man, because I like the USL. I love watching the USL when I can.
Yeah, fun. I actually enjoy it, especially the championship games. Also, Orange County. Orange County. They're the only local team now for us, huh? No, there's Monterey Bay.
There's Monterey Bay, and it's not USL. It's MLS Next. I mean, and then there's like MLS Next clubs too. Like Galaxy has Ventura County.
Ventura, yeah. But other than that, that's about it. But I mean, Orange County is a good environment to go to. It's fun to watch their games. I watched it during the playoffs. It's fun to watch, especially with the ESPN Plus package. But no plug.
He's still like
sponsored. Not sponsored. Hey, sponsor us though if you really want to. Yeah. I mean,
we had the same idea there. We both try to go for the money. I appreciate that, Andres. Overall, I compare it to San Diego Loyal, right? And San Diego Loyal, it is publicly known that they are not continuing because of a lack of stadium and a lack of funding. Who do you think is perpetuating that? Like, I'm sure the ownership group of SDFC took part in that somehow, and were like, hey, I'm sure they told some people like fuck them up for our gain, and we'll give you something. Like, I genuinely think that's what happened. And I'm sure that's what's happening here, which is unfortunate because there's so many MLS clubs that had their rise from a USL club. Let's talk about Nashville. Let's talk about Cincinnati, and honestly, like, not many people know that because their histories are just disregarded without promotion relegation, without the MLS. I mean, it's conscious by the MLS. They don't want the USL history to be important to the MLS at all. They just want the MLS history to be important to the MLS. And that's terrible. I hate that. And at some point, it's going to boil over, I think. We've talked about this before. In the past 2 years, I mean, this is probably one of the first topics we ever talked about. But American soccer cannot continue this way.